So you want to hear another story, huh? One where you find out how to get Borderlands 2 working on the Retroid Pocket Mini? If not, too bad. I'm telling you anyway. Welcome to the channel. If you watch my initial impressions video on the Retroid Pocket Mini, you'll notice that I just wasn't able to get Borderlands 2 for the PlayStation Vita to run on this handheld at all without it just crashing out immediately after some of the title screens. So, after discussing it with various people on the Retro Handhelds Discord and kind of following a little bit of intuition, I figured this was probably an Android 10 thing because people had luck getting Vita games. I didn't see anybody do Borderlands specifically, but getting Vita games to work in general on the Mini using turnip drivers. And I was looking at the README files for some of those, and they talk about, no longer supporting Android 11. It's like, well, I figured, well, if it's not supporting Android 11 anymore, it's probably not supporting Android 10. And I found out from the Discord that there are some ports of the turnip drivers or patches that enable them to run on Android 10. Most people are using these for Switch emulation, which I'm honestly not all that interested in, but I am interested in the Vita, and the same drivers that you use for the Switch, you use for the Vita. So it turns out we have a whole set of drivers to try, and some of those will get Borderlands 2 working in a more or less acceptable manner. Start off, you'll need to go to the GitHub for Switch emulation on Android 10 to get the drivers that we're going to need to run Borderlands 2 for the Vita. So this is the GitHub that you need to go to. I will put a link in the description, as I mentioned before. And once you get there, you can ignore all the Switch stuff and scroll down a bit until you get to the turnip drivers. There are some turnip drivers and Qualcomm drivers there. I think I tried pretty much every driver that's on this page, and I found a few that would work fairly well. So if you look under Best and Stablest up there at the top, you'll see Mesa Turnip 22.0.99. That one will work. There really aren't any graphics glitches in that one, but it is pretty slow, actually. It runs at like half the frame rate of the other drivers. Runs more like kind of on an actual Vita than what we want to run like. And it does have a problem where it does crash more often than I'd like it, so I don't really recommend that one there. If you go down a bit under latest Mesa driver ports, there's Mesa Turnip 24.1.0, which gives you a much greater frame rate, but there are some graphical glitches. I had a few crashes with that one. The one that I found seemed to work the best with the least number of crashes is on the screen right now, all the way down there at the bottom, Turnip Mesa UMP driver. So if you download that one and install it into Vita 3K, then what you get is you do get pretty good performance in the areas of the game I've tested so far. I haven't done this character run all the way to Sanctuary, which is where there's at least some frame drop there, but it's running really well in the early parts of the game, so it should at least be acceptable once you get to Sanctuary. The drawback is there are some graphical glitches, and during gameplay, they are relatively minor. Mostly it's around some text and in some of the menus where they have that backdrop effect to make it look like it's a hologram. There are some glitches in that. But overall, at least so far from what I've seen, there's nothing that's really game-breaking here. It'd be nice if the glitches weren't there, but I will take some glitches and a quick frame rate over slow frame rates and crashes any day. So I recommend that Turnip Mesa UMP driver down there near the bottom of the screen right now for Borderlands 2 on the Retroid Pocket Mini. At least until I can find something better. Like I said, I've tried just about all the drivers on this page. So as you can see here, we've got Vita 3K up and running. I've put the handheld in a small corner of the screen here and blown up the display so you can actually see what's going on because, well, the one thing about the RP Mini is that the screen is quite mini. So what we've got to do is, of course, we've got to install Borderlands. Now, the steps I'm going to show you can be done either before or after you actually install the software, the Borderlands software. So you install Borderlands 2, the update, if you want proper controls, if you want to use the controls here instead of having to use the touchscreen. If you want the DLC, install the DLC. And you can do that before, you can do that after the configuration steps. Doesn't really matter as long as you do these configuration steps before you actually start Borderlands 3, before you actually run it. By the way, if you want to know how to get the DLC working, I have another video showing you how to get the DLC working so that you have Torg's Campaign of Carnage and the Captain Scarlet DLC, as well as the 2 additional characters, Psycho and the Necromancer. So I'll link that video in the description. But once you've got your stuff installed, the configuration to use Borderlands 2 on the Retroid Pocket Mini goes like this. So we go under Configuration here, set up. That's the problem with this tiny screen, is it's hard to tap the right thing. If you go under Settings, one thing that you want to do if you just want to use the controls is make sure that you've gone under Emulator, sorry, System, wrong one, and tap on where it says PSTV mode, make sure that's checked. If that's not checked, Borderlands will not recognize the physical controls, and you can only use the touchscreen. Now, the other thing you need to do is if you want the full physical controls, including things like melee, then you want to make sure that you've installed the update as well. You'll need the update to get the DLC working anyway. So definitely want to install the update. But make sure PSTV mode is checked. If you want a frames per second counter, you go under Emulator and hit Performance Overlay. I don't always play with that on, but for recording videos for you guys, well, I'll have the Performance Overlay so you can see what kind of performance we're getting. But the key thing here is under GPU. So I'm going to tap on GPU. And what we want to do is we want to add a custom driver. Now, I actually already have it set up, but I'll just show you how it's done again. So you go Add Custom Driver, and then you navigate to wherever on your system you have the drivers. And as you can see, I've been trying a lot of drivers. So the one that I recommended was this UMP patched one. So I downloaded that. You don't need to download all the other ones. This is the only one you probably actually need. Tap on it to install it. I'm not going to tap on it because, well, I've already installed it. So we'll just go back. And what you'll need to do is where it says default, tap on that and then tap on the correct driver. You can see I have 3 of them actually installed here, the ones that I was mentioning earlier in the video. I'm going to hit that UMP patched one. If you had a driver installed before that was different from the one that you just tapped on, then where it says clean shaders, cache, and log, you probably want to do that if you're installing a new driver. I'm not going to click on it because I actually had the same driver I'm going to be demoing installed before. What you want to do is, once you made sure that's selected, the custom UMP patch one, then we go down here and we hit save and then close. Now, if you've been messing around with other drivers, it's probably a good idea to just close out Vita 3K entirely and start it over again. But since I haven't actually installed anything new since I started recording the video, I won't need to do that. What we'll basically need to do is, let's do a little gameplay demonstration so you can see how this driver performs on the Retroid Pocket Mini. So we will start up the game. This is the point where it would crash without the drivers. And one thing you might actually notice here is there are some graphical glitches on this screen There's actually more glitches on this screen than in most of the rest of the game, but you can see kind of around the Borderlands logo over here, you'll see some flashes that aren't really supposed to be there, but that's kind of the price we're going to pay for actually having it hopefully not crash, and for some decent frame rate. So I started with the Necromancer here, one of the DLC characters. You can actually see it's relatively smooth here. But let's get started. You can see some of the glitching in this menu here. Particularly right there. You can see it on the background of the map.
High quality, low prices, and no questions asked. A pleasure as always. May it keep you safe in your travels. Remember, we're always open.
Hello, mercenary person. I have money and a problem.
As you can see, we got Borderlands 2 running here on the Retroid Pocket Mini fairly well. We've got a decent frame rate here, actually a good bit better than what you get on an actual Vita. Unfortunately, we have some graphical glitches here, but with this particular driver, I haven't yet had it crash, which is more than I can say for a lot of the other drivers that I tried. So at least we have a solution. If you want to play Borderlands 2 on this device, then you can. The only problem is, as you can probably see, the display is kind of small. So, you know, if you have good eyes, it'll work pretty well for you, or if you just remember where things are. But yeah, the text is kind of tiny, particularly on these inventory screens here. So there is that. But the game is playable. Hopefully, maybe we can find a different set of drivers later on that will resolve the graphical glitches. But for now, I will at least be happy with the frame rate, and so far anyway, the lack of crashing. That's it for this video. So if you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like for it. Helps the channel grow a bit. Helps other people see my videos. If you want to see more handheld and other gaming content, remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, as always, for watching. Hope to see you next video. And goodbye.